Spa-Francorchamps is a circuit that needs no introduction, but to Brazilian stock cars, it may need a little bit of preparatory period because we are not used to seeing the Stock Car Brasil series take to the famed Spa-Francorchamps circuits. Welcome, everyone, to Friday Night Primetime. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the booth by Zach Sweeney. And Zach, this is a combination that is absolutely electric. I, for one, am very, very excited to see these cars come together on this circuit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we saw last time out at the Red Bull Ring, and that's a track that is, I say, fairly similar. It's got very similar characteristics in the fact that there's a lot of straight line speeds. You need your right foot in good condition because that pedal is going to be pushed right to the floor for a good portion of this lap. And, you know, we saw last week how important the push to pass was. I think it's going to be just as, if not more important this week.
Indeed, as we take a look at the upcoming schedule, there are a couple more circuits where that push to pass is going to be very, very crucial. Hockenheim, Mount Panorama, Road America. Mount is going to get a little bit more interesting, though, I think, for these stock cars, but plenty of good circuits to come across here as we continue to go. We are in the middle of qualifying right now, waiting for drivers to put their first lap times down, and it's a pretty long lap all the way around here, so we're still doing a little bit of waiting. But you know, Zach, we talked about how we were talking about before the broadcast, rather, how there are multiple areas on this circuit. It's not necessarily like the Red Bull Ring where it's sort of, okay, one of the three straights. There are so many different opportunities where that push to pass can be activated with good efficacy. It's really going to be a game of chess out here, I have to think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a strategical game. Of course, you've got to be on your toes. You've got to be consistent. You've got to have that pace. But more importantly, you've got to have that racecraft, that knowledge to be patient, save your push to pass. You don't want to waste it early on. We saw that was the demise of people last week. And those that saved it was able to really capitalize, especially towards the final sort of 5 minutes. But you've got that, you know, that you've got the pit straight down towards La Source. You get a move done there. The person behind you is going to come right back up at the Camel Straight, going to get you into Lake Com. Then you've got, coming out of Paul Freire, you've got that long run through Bonchemont into the final chicane. There's plenty of places to get these moves done. There's plenty of places to use that push to pass. And a half-an-hour race, it doesn't sound like a lot, but a circuit like Spa, where, you know, you've got to be on it lap after lap, it can really, really take a toll. And of course, you've got a million different things at once. And yeah, in qualifying especially, it's a very long lap, and you can't afford to make any mistakes. They've only got 2 laps here.
Exactly. Drivers out on track for it right now in the midst of that qualifying session. Still waiting for the first times to get put down. We ride on board with the #1 machine, Victor Reyes, as he works his way down through one of those sections you were talking about, down through Blanchemont right now. Very tricky in these cars. You can see just the oversteer that he's having to kick in. It's a lot of power to be putting down through that corner, and not a lot of downforce to be holding the car into the track.
Yeah, I mean, Blanchemont is a corner that, you know, you see in sort of GT3s and Formula cars. It hasn't really been much of a corner as of recent times. It's really been just a flat-out kink to the left. You know, there's not been much challenge. But in these cars, you saw he actually, you know, Victor had to really wrestle the car through, dab on the brakes even, had to chop and turn at the steering wheel as well to get it turned in. And at the moment, Chatelaine is the fastest, 2 minute 30.8. How representative that is gonna, you know, only time will tell. But 3.5 attempts, yeah, you can see already Campos going a little bit quicker. It's a long lap, so I'm not expecting as close to times as we saw at the Red Bull Ring. And, you know, a couple of attempts is relatively close, but, you know, there's a lot of opportunities to make this time up. You've got to really, really be on it. But 4 seconds, that is a much bigger gap than I'd have been expecting, you know, even with that considered.
Yeah, as would I. Still waiting for more than half the field to put their times down as we watch Sam White in that #4 coming to the line. Running the GP layout here, obviously, so the line coming across very early after the bus stop chicane. White able to be within 3/10 of a second of Campos, so looking like there could be a good battle there. Here comes the #2, Kai Stumpf, and that just goosing it a little bit coming out of the bus stop.
Yeah, easy mistake to make, especially with a lot of power in these cars going straight to those rear wheels. And of course, there's a slight undulation change. You're getting very eager. You see the finish line. You're like, okay, I can finish this lap. Get a bit too eager on your right foot and around you go, especially with that AstroTurf on the right-hand side. Very easy mistake to make. Can't blame him for it, but it puts a lot of pressure on that final lap. As I was saying, only 2 laps these guys get. If they bottle the first one, it's all or nothing through that one. And through Blanchimont, fair enough, Bruno Campos. I respect that. That was a very nice save indeed.
It's a very nice save, a little bit of an alternate line there for him, but a good line to be able to take. He is going to pull off into the pits. That is going to be his day done and dusted. It looks like we've only got about a minute left in qualifying, and I've got to think for some of these drivers, they're not going to be able to come to the line as we watch here. This is Sam White working his way down through Rivage and into No Name. He's not going to be able to come to the line for that second lap.
Yeah, no, and of course, I'm sure everyone watching knows, but in iRacing, it's not like other games where, you know, it gets to 0 and then you're allowed to finish your lap. No, 0, done, session's over, you're into the next one. So you've got to really time it well. Right, Victor's going to probably easily get his lap in, and hopefully for him, he can improve upon his P5. 1.5 seconds at the moment off pole position, but yeah, as you said, for a lot of people that unfortunately bottled their lap times, they're not going to get another one in. But the thing was with Spa and Victor again, that's the second time we've seen that mistake, not from him, but in general. And it seems like it's going to be one that catches a couple of people out. Of course, it's a sprint race, so they're going to be pushing the limits as much as they can. Could we see that in the race?
I think we very well could. Looks like Eric Moreau coming to the line there, flashing the lights. He's slowing himself down a little bit, so clearly not too pleased with his lap. But that gets us ready to go to the race because the grid has been set here. And let's run you through that qualifying grid as we get ready for the race to kick off. It's going to be Bruno Campos lining up in pole position. Timo Stump will be to his outside. Sam White and Gilles Justin behind them, with Victor Reyes and Alexandra Cunha lining up in P6. P7 is going to be Thiago Arca, followed by Fernando Fio. Eric Moreau will be in P9, followed by Andrea Campos. Mickey Olsen will be in 11th with Kai Stump to his outside. And rounding out your black row, it's going to be Alex Vello and Michael Mortensen here. All right, how crucial is this start going to be to be able to jump off the line? Obviously, a big change going down into La Source. You got to be very, very careful. Standing start, but could we see a little bit of calamity?
Oh, I'd be surprised if we don't, to be honest. I mean, I don't see why they'd be so eager into La Source. They've got that run up through Eau Rouge, up Rally, on down the Camel Straight, all the way to the Lecombe Chicane. But if you can pick up a place up the inside, that's then going to set you up. It's all about that exit. It's all about not compromising yourself. And, you know, half an hour race, it's Spa. There's plenty of places to get this done. You don't need to be a hero into turn 1. But it's a short run, only a couple of 100 meters or so before you're slamming on the anchors. So, you know, those that get better starts than others are going to be looking spicy into turn 1. So I just guess we'll have to wait and see. But based off last week, we're never deprived of action here.
No, we never are. And Campos and Stump, they're pretty close times, especially across such a long lap as we were talking about. So very, very interested to see what they're going to do. Sam White and Chatelain behind them. We've got a little bit of a interesting development here as Stump did not take to the grid. So we may be deprived a little bit of the prime battle that we were hoping for. That is going to promote Bruno Campos up into that second place starting position.
Well, this is certainly interesting. He's going to have to take to the pit lane. Luckily for him, it's not the endurance pit lane, because that would be a completely, utterly indifferent story, and, oh, well, he would not have a good time at all. So luckily, if he does start from the pit lane, he still has a relatively decent start, but yeah, he's, you know, the people behind him certainly not going to be complaining whatsoever.
No, not at all. As there you see, backing everybody up here a little bit. Campos is just waiting to do as they come to the line, waiting to go. And there they are on it. There's the green. We are racing in Spa-Francorchamps. It is a lightning start for Bruno Campos. Gilles Chatelain really falling behind there. Sam White able to move up one position to take second. We're side by side in the back between Kahuna and Chatelain as they come out of the corner now. Working down the hill and up into the ready to go up through Eau Rouge and Radial. It looks like Chatelain's going to have a nose ahead. You do not want to be side by side coming up through Eau Rouge, and indeed it looks like the field's going to single file out.
Yeah, luckily for them, because side-by-side for a Rouge and Rally are not the wisest thing to do, but hey, you've got this entire Camel straight to get the move done, and we can see White in the slipstream of Campos. You can see a bit of 2x2. Raze and Kuna now going side-by-side, pretty much 2x2 as they all try and draft their way through. Some people going inside, some people going outside, breaking the toe, but yeah, at the moment, pretty stationary at the front. You can see down the inside goes the number 8 on the number 1, stop for P4, side-by-side all the way around the outside there, quickly becomes the inside, then through this quick right through Malmedy on the run towards Ravage, still side by side. Brilliant racing between Rise and Kuna, but can he get the job done? He's going to be late on the brakes. The number 1 car's got to go the long way round of an off-cambered corner, but he's going to try it anyway all the way around the outside. Can he make this one stick?
I don't know how he's still hanging on to that thing, tail wagging out there a little bit for the number 1. He's now going to have to hang it out during number no name, and there he has got it. The number 1 able to hold on to that position. That is Victor Reyes into 4th place securely. That is Fernando Fio behind, starting to look a little bit interested as they dove down into Pujol. But what that battling has done is that's allowed for about a 1.2 gap to develop between himself and Gilles Chatelain up ahead. Chatelain also about a second off of Sam White and Bruno Campos, where it looks like the battle for P1.
Yeah, they are still very close. White's keeping him honest, keeping him on his toes, making sure he doesn't let him breathe. He's waiting for that opportunity, waiting to be able to pounce, because as soon as he gets off Paul Ferrer, he's got that run all the way down to the bus stop chicane. But I think this is just going to be just a topsy-turvy fight. One's in front, then the next up, then the other one's going to come back at him. It's probably going to come down to who makes the first mistake. But for White at the moment, he might want to wait around. Maybe he wants to try and pull a gap to Chatelain behind. 1.2 seconds is the gap between them. But look how close he's getting. This slipstream is incredibly powerful. No push to pass between the two just yet, but Campos might be looking in his mirrors and he might be having to go defensive in towards the bus stop, and I think he is.
Yes, he is. That's going to be Campos down to the inside, White to the outside. White trying to push a little bit earlier on the brakes, looking to try to square up the corner. And look at that, Chatelain able to close up masterfully under braking as they go through the bus stop. We now run 1, 2, 3, throw a blanket over him, only 0.8 of a second separating your podium positions. As we've got Campos around. That is Andre Campos in the back of the number 12.
That's a shame. Well, we said we were going to see it. We saw it on lap 1, so at least that box is ticked off. I think it was just a clumsy mistake, unfortunately for him. Was fighting pretty hard with the number 7 on his inside, and when you're fighting side by side with someone, you know, it can very easily go wrong. Very nicely under brakes, got it stopped. I think it maybe was the second part. Maybe he was tagged round, no, just on the outside, on the dirtier line, and around he goes a bit too eager, unfortunately. And hey, that happens, but at least it's happened on lap 1. He's got the time to recover from it.
Yeah, exactly, and we've seen that happen here from multiple drivers during qualifying and now during the race. Looks like Campos pulling away a little bit, using the first of his push to passes up at the front, trying to build a little bit of a gap that holds out to be about 0.9 of a second as they work their way through the corner. A little bit of smoke behind there. Oh, that's Velo having a big off.
Yeah, looks maybe side by side, I think, with Theo through the com chicane, and maybe just lock the rears, perhaps. I think we're going to take a look at it now. You can see Velo in the slipstream, maybe eyeing up a move, wants to get himself up an extra place. Just look at how strong this draft is. This is going to be the story for this race here at Spa. Goes to the outside, his slingshots past, maybe just misjudged it a little bit. He's got that extra speed. He's got to get the car stopped. He's got Theo back on his inside, and I think, I'm not entirely sure how that happened actually. Maybe just a bit of a mistake. Saw him on the inside, had to give him some space, and well, in iRacing, as soon as you touch even one wheel onto that grass, you're just a passenger. It was just the rear going, I think. Maybe lock the rears.
Yeah, it looks like he may have locked the rears, maybe a hair too much trail braking coming through the corner, and that just caused it to kind of step out on him there. So he will rejoin back down into 9th place. He's still up 4 positions despite that incident, so a good run there for him. Focusing back now on the 2nd place machine. This is Kai Stumpf. Remember, Stumpf started from the pit lane, and he is now working his way up through Eric Moreau, trying to follow that number 2 up through the field.
Yeah, he is just trying to use him. Let Kai do all the work for him because, yeah, Stump's clearly got some good pace. He's made his way through from the pit lane, already now established himself in the midfield. Bit of a gap up to Theo just in front, and then Kuna about 1.4 in front of that. Unfortunately, already used one of his push to pass, as is the top 3, all trying to stay with each other. That's the thing. It's like all of last week. It's a reactionary thing. You use it, I use it. You use it, I use it. But you always want to be the one that's reacting because then you've got the advantage. A little bit of side-by-side. I think that's Moreo and Velo. A little bit of side-by-side action, or at least trying to. But Campos setting some good pace, but he's got White on his tail and maybe has to go defensive because here comes White to the inside of La Source. That's risky. Campos leaves him to dry around the outside. Who's going to get the better drive up the Camel straight and towards Lake Com?
Well, it looked like a little bit of a twitch off of the line there for Bruno Campos. He's going to be able to hold on to that pole position for now. But as they wind their way down the hill, going up through Eau Rouge and over the top of Radion, here comes Sam White closing up behind. Pokes his nose out of the draft and then falls back into line of it. Maybe a little bit too eager of a move there behind them. Chatelain using a push to pass to try to gain up close behind this battle. Here he comes to the outside, thinking about it. No, they are going to stay 1-2 again.
Yeah, Campos doing everything he can, making that car as wide as possible, and White just having to funnel in, play second fiddle. But yeah, they've got to be careful of Chatelain and Race behind. The more they fight, you know, we saw last week it was 2 cars out in front, and it quickly become a 3, even a 4-horse race at one point. So they've got to be careful how they use that push to pass, how they fight. They've still got 23 minutes left of this race. They do not want to be throwing it away too quickly. But for White, he's clearly got the pace. He's clearly putting some pressure on, and I think it's just going to be a mental game. Battle of attrition, wear Campos down, wear him down, fill the mirrors, put that pressure on, make him make the first mistake, and then, you know, it's easy fittings. He can just go up the inside, he's made the mistake, and the job's a good one. But yeah, the slipstream, the draft, the push to pass, that's going to be the deciding factor today.
Indeed it is, and Campos getting a hair squirrely there coming through Pujol, the rear end of that car, just wanting to step out a little bit. Also want to draw a little bit of attention here to Victor Reyes, who's riding around in 4th position. That is currently the #1 car. He has yet to use a push to pass, and he is only within about a second of Chatelain up in front of him, so that could be a car to keep an eye on. If he is able to do this on outright pace, he may be a car to watch out for. But we focus back in on the lead. Sam White closing down on Bruno Campos, both even on push to pass, neither one of them looking like they're using it here. White trying to see if he can find anything going down into Blanchimont. May have to back it off here. You don't want to go 2x2 through that corner. Looks like he's going to get a little bit of a run. He pokes his nose to the outside. Well, what will be bus stop here? Is he going to be going for the move, or is this just a little bit of a fake out? Looks like about a half commitment to a move. Parking it on the apex was Campos.
That was a little bit squirrely. I mean, Campos, I think, outbroke himself a little bit to the sort of the surprise of White, who had to just back off a little bit. Saw a gap to the inside, but that's never, ever going to come to fruition. And unfortunately for him, it couldn't quite work. But yeah, a bit over the sausage curb. That ruined his run onto the pitch straight, but never say never, because Campos, a little bit over the sausage curb on the exit. La Source, look for Chatelain, and Ray's just behind as well. This could become very interesting very quickly. Down through Eau Rouge and then up towards Radion, then down the Camel straight. Bit of a kink, but they've still full on the gas, and then of course that slipstream 3 turns, that's plenty enough to get a good run in the slingshot. A fantastic run up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Could we see a change for the lead? Because already Campos having to look in his mirrors, already to the right hand side. White's looking to the right, trying to find that inside line, tucked up, already now going to the left hand side. It's the long way round. Campos keeping that inside covered, late under brakes in towards Lake Com. He's gonna have to go the long way round. Is White, can he get it done? Yes he can, and White into the race lead, and Campos has got nothing to say to that one through Malmedy.
Oh, a great move there for Sam White to be able to hold that out, and that has allowed for Chatelain and Reyes to be able to close back in on that battle. Reyes still yet to use a push to pass here as they dive down through Ravage, now working their way around the corner. The top 4 separated only by about 1.4 seconds as they close in, and that's Campos with a big slide and a catch.
Oh my word, I thought that was game over for him, but we saw it in qualifying. He definitely knows how to keep that car in check. Unfortunately for him, might lose 1, maybe 2 places as Ray's trying to look to the inside, and that's the mistake that White was counting on. That's the mistake he needed in order to try and pull away. 1.6 seconds is a gap. Campos not waiting around at all. He's recomposed himself. He needs to recover. Can he go the long way around of the Campos corner? Not quite going to be able to get it. Chatelain's not going to be complaining, but yeah, these 3 cars, they need to focus. They can't be fighting. They cannot let White get away. And have a look at how it happened now. Through Ravage, it's tucked up in the slipstream, trying to get through, maybe just a little bit over the curb. Ambitious. No, just again, that rear end. You put too much weight on the front, too little on the rear, and around it goes. Very unstable of these cars.
Yeah, very much so. Rear wheel drive, just wanting to send these cars out and around the corner. And as a result of that, Sam White has been able to build up a gap of 2 seconds. But these 3 in the back, Chatelain, Campos, and Reyes, throw a blanket over the top of them. Very, very close together here as they come down now into the bus stop. Is this going to be a late braking move for Campos? No, it's just a little bit of an eye out, but it worked as that's Chatelain locking up.
Yeah, very clumsy mistake. Allowed Campos to go the long way around, gets himself back up into P2. But yeah, that's the thing. Look to the inside, put the pressure on. Chatelain was like, oh, he's going for it. And then looking in his mirrors and unfortunately locked up. Very easy mistake to make. But hey, probably the best place for him to do it because now he's behind. Now he can launch a counterattack. Now he's the one putting the pressure on down in towards the camel straight rather than the person having the pressure put on him. So it'll be interesting to see if he can reclaim that P2. But the more they fight, that gap now nearly 3 seconds up to white.
Yeah, he is just absolutely starting to pull away from them in the course of this fight. But now it looks like that it's not going to be Chatelain on the attack. It's going to be Chatelain on the defense with Victor Reyes looking very, very aggressive there behind that #1 machine, tucking up behind in the draft. Chatelain looking like he's using another push to pass here to try to keep himself ahead. Reyes still yet to use one. That's going to really, really change things up when we get to the end of the race. He is going to be able to go like the clappers.
Yeah, indeed, but he's not going to be able to do that if he makes little clumsy mistakes like that one, like we just saw through Lake Com. And unfortunately, but with push to pass, it's fantastic saving it, but it gets to a point where you're saving it a little bit too excessively. You need to use it to stay in the loop because right now, 4.4 seconds off the race lead. It's not fantastic, but of course he's got that advantage. He can dispose of it, but can it gain him 4.5 seconds? We saw how the push to pass was most effective when you're in the slipstream, when you're going for a move. We haven't quite seen it be able to get someone into that gap just yet, but hey, we might be proven wrong. Reyes knows more than we do down on the circuit. But yeah, at the moment he's driving a fantastic race. Another driver to mention is Kai Stumpf, because from the pit lane now up to P6, and he is closing on the guys in front. You know, we saw how quickly people can close up once they start battling. You lose a lot of time going side by side around Spa, so who knows, we could see Stumpf in a chance for the top 5, but so far he's been a fantastic drive today.
Yeah, he certainly has, most recently getting by Timo Stumpf there. That is the driver holding around in his wake right now. He's only got about 2.5 seconds up to Alexander Kuna up ahead of him, and Stumpf has used 2 of his push to passes here, so he's still got plenty in the bank, doing a lot of this just on outright pace, as it were, as they continue to go here. Stumpf really trying to push, bringing that gap down a little bit. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if that was just an errant mistake there. I would have loved to have seen him scrapping this out for the lead of the race.
Yeah, not entirely sure. I mean, there's times where you get the countdown, you think, I've got enough time to run and get a drink, or I've got enough time to run to the toilet. You get back and you haven't made it and have to go to the pit lane, unless it was a deliberate thing. Maybe he saw, I've got some good pace here. Let's have a bit of fun, which, you know, fair enough. If he's got the pace, more than entitled to, because, you know, we've seen some great overtaking. He wants to be involved in that. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see how he stacked up against our front lot, because it doesn't matter how quick you are, if you're not in the slipstream, if you're not involved in the mix, it's very hard for you to gain that time up. Say that though, Campos, 2.1 seconds is the gap to white. He really has closed the gap up a little bit and is gaining. We'll have to see how much that gap comes down. We're not even halfway through the race just yet, and a lot has already happened. So count that out. This is Victor Reyes looking to the long way around of Chatelain down the camel straight. He's going to go for the podium once more, and push to pass is being used. His first push to pass, and it couldn't have come at a better time because it got him into P3.
Easy breezy move there for Reyes. He is now up into P3, a little bit of a fight back. Oh, this is a battle of the Stumpfs here as Timo Stumpf trying to get himself back around Kai, and he does it. Fantastic stuff there for the #6.
Yeah, we've got the Stumpf Civil War, I think it is. But yeah, Timo, very aggressive, but very fair, hard and fair. You can see a long way back, but just look at how much he is closing and closing and closing. Still not even ahead before the corner. How late was he under brakes? Incredibly late, incredibly brave. Just sailed round. Look, even like got a little bit unstable off the track, which is going to be a little bit questionable, but he still had ample room on the outside through Malmedy, did Kai, so I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, neither do I. He was able to get it done, and so Kai Stumpf is now, well, he has been retaken by Timo. Timo able to get back up and around him as we focus back in on that battle between Reyes and Chatelain. And that is Alexander Kahuna. They're only about 1.3 seconds behind, so he is closing in. If these two continue to scrap a little bit, we could see a 3-way fight for this final podium position.
Yeah, you know, I always say you set yourself milestones in a race. Of course, the first one is always get to the checkered flag. That's the one everyone aims for. But then you've got, okay, bit of pace. Let's aim for a top 10. Let's aim for a top 5. Let's aim for a podium. Let's aim for a win. So, you know, they're inside the top 5. I'm sure they're not really fussed whether it's 4th or 5th. The next step is the podium, and then it's P3, and that's what they're all going to be wanting for. That's the one they're all going to be wanting. And for a 3-car train, you know, 3-car trains are always messy because you've got the one in the middle looking forwards and looking backwards. You've got the one at the back of the train looking to find a way through, looking to sneak through on both of them at once. So yeah, 3-car trains are always interesting, and we've seen, again, as I always say, the amount that you can gain when people start battling. So it's going to be very interesting, but Campos has closed an incredible amount on white and still remains at the advantage +1 in terms of push to pass. Well, I say that he's now gone down to 3, but that gap's coming down.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's down now to about 2 seconds right now as they work their way up over Eau Rouge and Radion and getting onto the Kemmel straight here. That gap continuing to come down. It's now going to be about under 2 seconds. Campos working it down on that push to pass, setting the fastest lap of the race. Last time out, just really, or 2 times out ago rather, he is hustling that car as they break down into the corner. It's going to be at about 1.5 seconds. So this battle for the lead nowhere near over.
No, absolutely not, which, to be honest, I was scared of when Campos made that mistake. But no, he has shown incredible sort of that racer instinct of just, I've made a mistake. I'm going to brush it off. I'm going to recompose myself. I'm going to get back on it. He had to get past Reyes or stop the pressure from Reyes, get past Chatelain, and just get on with it. And that's exactly what he's done. He's left those other 2 in the dust, and he's just completely pressed on, completely just hasn't made a mistake since, and has had some blistering pace to now put himself back in contention. And I think White is going to be a little bit surprised about that one. He'll think, okay, I've got a bit of easy time here. Maybe got a bit complacent. And now he's looking in his mirrors, and he's seeing that number 3, and he's like, this is a little bit of an issue because, you know, it's still just shy of about halfway to go. 13 minutes left in this race. It's still on, still very much truly on. And Campos with those faster slabs, yeah, he is one to look out for.
Yeah, he certainly is. As we take another look back here, this is now the battle for P4. Chatelain falling off the back a little bit of Victor Reyes, but Alexander Kuna able to close in behind. That gap under a second now, lingering at about 6/10. Push to pass difference between the 2. Chatelain only has 2 left. Kuna has 3 left. So this could be a little bit of advantage here to Alexander Kuna.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, just having that advantage. Chatelain really has wasted his push to passes quite a little bit. You always want to save at least probably three or 4 for the last 10 minutes. That's when they really count, is that final sprint to the finish. Oh, that is very wide for him. Manages to save it, so fair play, but way too deep on the brakes, and that rear end very sensitive, but his tires are not going to be liking that. That's going to take him at least half a lap to get those tires back to normal temperature.
Yeah, he'll have to be a little bit cool here, just kind of backing the car off of the corners a little bit, trying to see if he can do anything to really salvage the tires as it was. Looking back at the battle for P3 again as Victor Reyes holding off Gilles Chatelain. This is going to be under a second as they work their way up Eau Rouge. Waiting to see if anybody's going to be getting on to that push to pass pedal. It doesn't look like it here at this point. This is going to be a straight battle between the 2 of them. Gap holding at about 1 second. The draft starting to come into play as they reach higher speeds, but Chatelain needs to be a little bit closer to really make full effectiveness of that.
Yeah, a bit of a stalemate at the moment between the 2, but Chatelain just can't afford to lose any more push to pass. He's got to rely on that sheer just engine power and slipstream, and it's going to be tough for him to do that, but he's got to close the gap. He's got to do it all in the corners and then rely on the tow hook that is that slipstream, but Reyes knows he's got the advantage. He can not chill for a little bit, but he knows that he's got the advantage. He knows that Chatelain's got to do all the work, and as long as Reyes keeps it consistent, keeps it on the road, keeps up with some decent pace, P3 is probably in the bag. Of course, can never say anything when it comes to motorsport. That's one of the many beauties of motorsport is the amount of variables that can happen. Anything can happen at any point. But yeah, Chatelain, he's on the back foot here, and he's got to push. He's got to dig deep if he wants to get onto this podium.
Yeah, he certainly is, and he is pushing at it. You can see there behind, though, remember we talked a little bit about the Stumps working their way up through the field. Well, Timo Stump has got the gap down to about 0.2 of a second behind Alexander Kuna, so a very good battle there as well.
Yeah, definitely. We're being treated a little bit more down in the midfield. Of course, we was focused a lot on the top four when it comes to the Red Bull Ring, so we've got a bit more action further down in terms of this race. Thanks a lot in terms of Kai Stumpf, well, the two stumps in general, giving us a bit of action, but Kuna, yeah, we thought he could chase after Chatelaine for the top four. Now he's under pressure for the top five. Timo Stumpf is going to want to get himself into that threshold of finishing inside the top five, and he's certainly doing so, practically pushing the number 8 car through Blanchimont, backing off a little bit. Fair play, just to spot his marks a little bit better. Don't want to be too close through there, and a tiny mistake for Kuna would definitely collect Stumpf in that as well. But he just seems to be waiting back. I think a lot of these drivers are just chilling, not going from even to bus stop because they know full well they've got that long run down Eau Rouge through Radion and down the Camel Straight.
Indeed, they do, and a little bit of an alternate line there, maybe just trying to break it off. This is also going to bring Kai Stumpf into the battle. He's going to be within 1 second of Timo, up ahead of him. So as they come down through the corner, little bit offline, little bit of a wiggle there for Kuna. That is not going to be good for him. He immediately goes a little bit defensive there, holding on to that inside line, trying to minimize the amount of distance that he has got to take, but that gap is now under 0.4 of a second as they fly up Eau Rouge and over the crest of Radion. Here they come, and Stumpf on the aggressive from the outset.
Here he goes then. It's the long way around, but he got a fantastic run through Eau Rouge and Radion, already ahead, and he doesn't really even need to defend, just going to the inside just to cover off his bases. That was as easy as he'd liked it. Even was sort of sideways over the crest of Radion. You saw him have a bit of a twitch, well saved. Very easy for that to go around and be a massive crash. But yeah, saw an opportunity, took it with both hands, and is now comfortably inside the top 5. But Kuna, yeah, he's under pressure from the two stumps. He's sandwiched between them, and now, yeah, he's going backwards, and I fear it's not going to turn back for him. Campos, though, 1.1 seconds between himself and White. Both of them have been sort of trading that push to pass down to just 2 each, but Campos is reeling him in. These last 8 minutes are going to be fury.
Yes, they are. They most certainly are. But right now you see a little bit of flash of the headlights there from Kai Stumpf, just trying to get into the head of Alexander Kuna, seeing if there is anything he can do to force him offline. He knows that Kuna has made a mistake here, and anything that he can do to elicit another one is something he is going to be trying to take advantage of. Breaking down there into Fagnes as they go through the corner, trying to see what it is differences. But oh, that was Stumpf locking it up.
Yeah, clumsy mistake again, bit too eager, sees the two cars in front of him. That sort of triggers something as a racing driver to sort of get on it and get after him. But easy mistakes to make, a lot at stake, and overall he's driven a great race, but these mistakes happen. We've seen, well, we didn't see many mistakes at the Red Bull Ring, but certainly Spa, that's sort of the many wonders of Spa, is the trickiness, the challenge that is Spa. But yeah, a lot more mistakes creeping in for these drivers.
Yeah, it's certainly a scruffier race than anything we have seen previously, and I think that's just a little bit of the nature of the circuit. As you said, Interlagos sort of a home for these Brazilian stock cars, as Sam White sets the fastest lap of the race there, absolutely pushing, trying to get himself ahead. He's been able to build the gap up to about 1.5 seconds up for the lead right now. Oh, here comes Stumpf. Here comes Kuna down to the inside of Stumpf. Is he going to have a little bit of a look? They're going to be in a drag race as they make their way towards Eau Rouge.
Here he goes then. He's got the run, is ahead, and I think Stumpf might just have to, yeah, he's going to cut his losses. In fact, no, he's not. He's coming straight to the inside. This is a fight for P5. You thought they'd be fighting for a championship. Stumpf all the way around the outside of Eau Rouge and up the top of Radion. But Kuna's going to come back at him. He's got the slipstream all the way down this Camel Straight. He's going to launch the counter-attack as soon as he can, but Stumpf, with the bravery, just kept his foot and said, no. Absolutely not are you getting past me there, because it was a send from Stumpf, from Kuna into the source. But that move, we're going to ride on board with it now. This was brave.
It was very brave, and both cars getting all kinds of sideways coming up over the edge here. I mean, just look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. Eau Rouge is hard enough to take one abreast. I can't imagine going 2x2 through there.
Well, it takes two to tango. Great respect between those two. That's that mutual respect we like to see. A lot of sim racing events have sort of crept into that sort of, it's my line. If you're on the outside, you're not there, as far as I'm concerned. But great mutual respect between both of them to keep it clean. That is what we like to see. But Campos within 8 tenths now, and he is closing, and he is now, I would say, within the slipstream range. He might start getting a little sniff of it now, and then once he's latched onto that rear wing of Sam White just in front, it's gonna be gloves off. They're going for it these final 5 minutes. Only, what, about 2-3 laps left?
I think that's about right. We're running lap times here in about 2.5 minutes, so it'll be 2 to go at the line for these drivers. Both drivers still have 2 push to passes yet to go. Gap expanding a little bit and contracting through Blanchimont. It's hovering to about 9/10 of a second right now as they work their way down into the bus stop. We'll have to see here if Campos is able to gain up a little bit under braking. He really wants to get that gap under 8/10 of a second to fully wean everything down and to be able to try to maximize on that draft. Loses a lot of time. Gap now expanding to 1.4.
Yeah, I think White's just unlocked something else. I think he's realized the pressure, and now he's turned it up into overdrive, just unleashing anything left he has left in his tank, in his arsenal, to use against Bruno Campos. But it's going to be a fight, I'm sure. But this is where Bruno has to stay on it. He's done a fantastic job over the last sort of 10, 12 minutes in order to try and get it done. He's using his push to pass just to get himself into that threshold of the slipstream. It's going to help him through a Rouge, through Radion, and down the Camel Straight, just to close that gap a little bit more. But yeah, for Campos, he's got to stay on it. He's done a fantastic job, as I was saying, but he cannot let it off now. He has to keep that pressure on. He has to put White into a mistake. He has to roll reverse from a little bit earlier on, because it was White that baited Campos into a mistake earlier on. Campos needs to do the same here.
Yeah, indeed he does, and both drivers using push to pass there to try to gain back up, so they're both down to 1 left to go. We ride on board the hood here of Bruno Campos as he works his way down into Ravage, trying to gain that time up. He's able to get it down under a second there for a moment in the braking zone, but it's going to expand. He has got to really focus ahead. I think he has got to know just how much time he lost coming through the bus stop last time, and that's what really cost him a chance to be able to do anything at all.
Yeah, and it's going to be that bus stop that's going to be ever crucial, because come the final lap, if they're side by side, he needs a good run through the bus stop on that run to the line. If he wants to have any chance into La Source, into the Camel Straight, whatever it is, it all starts with that bus stop. You've got to chain him up. It's just like, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. It's momentum. You've got to start it up. You've got to reel the car up through that bus stop chicane. But he's done a fantastic job from pretty much no name onwards, and you can see White now. That car's stepping out a little bit. He's feeling the pressure. 1 push to pass each, and I think they're both going to save it for that final lap.
Yeah, I think they'll both save it for the final lap, and they'll both probably try to deploy it on the Camel Straight. That seems like the optimum time to do it. Here they come, gap at about 1 second right now, so Campos not going to get really any of the benefit of the draft here as they race to the white flag through the left-hand sweeper before they get to Blanchimont. Let's see if he's able to gain any time there through the corner. Yes, he is. He's able to gain about 1/10 of a second, a little bit more potentially. This is where he wants to be. Now, remember, he was not as fast through the bus stop last time. He's going to try to maximize here. That gap definitely coming down a little bit. Looks like he got a pretty good run off of the corner, and that gap is going to stay under a second.
Yeah, there we go then, 7/10. I think it is the white flag lap, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, fastest lap, that lap too. He's pushing, he's after it. He's sniffing victory, and I certainly cannot wait, because it's gloves off for this last lap. And, well, what a track to do it at than Spa. 8/10 between the two, certainly within slipstream range. And now what can we see down the Camel Straight? He's using his push to pass. He's going for it.
He is going for it. White on it as well, so they're both going to be getting that extra horsepower boost here. Oh, very squirrely for White coming up over Radion there. That's going to cost him some time.
Yeah, certainly so. Might have even ruined his run. That's what I said. You've got to keep the momentum up, but still within 7/10, both equal pegging when it comes to push to pass. They've both used it, so it's all going to come down to that slipstream, that pure engine power, maybe even a bit deep for White through the Lecombe chicane. Indeed so. I think Campos just gaining a little bit, pretty even, but Campos knows he can gain from pool one onwards.
Yes, he can. So he's got it down to 6/10 of a second. That's exactly where he wants it to be. Going down now into the long sweeping right-hander that is Le Ravage. We saw him gain some more time there on the last lap, and indeed he gains more on this lap. Down into No Name. Gap coming down underneath for 5/10 of a second.
Yeah, here we go, in towards Pool. And what can Campos do on this final lap? He's got to give it everything. He's got to wait, really, for that bus stop. But again, a bit of a snap, maybe. Getting caught out very wide through Pool 1, and that's not where you want to be. That's alleviating a bit of pressure for White, but again, still in the slipstream range from Pool Frere all the way down to the bus stop chicane. Campos is going to be on that throttle, and he's going to be in that slipstream. White's going to be punching a hole in the air for him that Campos can just sit behind and gain a bit of time through. But 8/10 of a second, I think White might just be able to hang on, but we never know.
Now he's going to hope to here as they work their way down out of Stavelot here it is, the final run to the line. Sam White holding on by about 8.5 tenths of a second. The gap starting to come down as Bruno Campos stucks behind in that slipstream, waiting to see how much effect it's going to have. They fly down through the left-hander, readying themselves for Blanchimont. Careful here not to make a mistake for either drivers, as that corner is flat out and very dangerous, a little bit wide there for Campos. Gap coming down to 6 tenths of a second. Breaking down into the bus stop. One last time, very late on the binders was Campos, but I think he was too late, and that is going to be Sam White, able to hold out by about 1.1 seconds. Sam White will be your victor.
What a battle between these two, even from the start. And Campos, I mean, it was never going to work, was it, to the inside? This is the fight still for P5 between the two stumps. I think it's going to be Kai that's going to win out. Oh, no, in fact, it's not. He's going to try. No, he is. He is going to win out in the number 2 car. Just get himself inside the top 6. A fantastic drive from the pit lane for him in a battle between the two stumps. They worked fantastically well together. But yeah, for White, for Campos, fantastic battle. They both drove brilliant. They both deserved it. But in the end of it, there can only be one P1.
Exactly, focusing in on the last battle really out here on the track. This is Eric Moreau and Andre Campos as they come down into bus stop. Campos about 5 tenths of a second behind, has a little bit of a look to the inside there, trying to carry as much speed as he can, but I don't think that is a move that is ever going to work. Oh, but that's Moreau getting some massive wheel spin, and that is going to cost him P11.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, it's only P11, so not the most drastic loss in the world, but if you're going to make that mistake, don't make it on the final corner of the final lap. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Really, really is unfortunate. But yeah, well, that's like that. Yeah, just a clumsy mistake to make, and it cost him a place. But look at these two, Sam White and Campos, just driving around together, having a lovely time on this parade lap. And well, hats off to them both, because they both deserved it. And yeah, they gave us some great action early on. Unfortunately, Campos couldn't quite put much pressure towards the end. But yeah, both of their palms are going to be incredibly sweaty, I'm sure.
For sure they are. And let's run you through our final finishing order there from top to bottom. As we said, it was Sam White that was able to take the victory here, just eking out Bruno Campos in a great run. Victor Reyes was rounding out your podium positions with Gilles Chatelain in P4 and Timo Stump in P5. Kai Stump was 6th, followed by Alexander Kunda with Fernando Fio in 8th and Thiago Arca in 9th. 10th went to Alex Vilo, with 11th being Andre Campos, who you were able to see pip Eric Moreau at the line for that 11th place position. Michael Mortensen was in 13th, and Mickey Olsen was a DNF there on the day, 7 laps down. Oh, Zach, another week, another fantastic race from Friday Night Primetime in this Stock Car Brasil series. I cannot wait for next week. These guys just always know how to put up the best kind of action for us.
Yeah, absolutely. From the first time we stepped in last time out at the Red Bull Ring and again into Spa, it's just been action and action and action and action, and they always deliver. And I certainly cannot wait to see out the rest of the season each Friday night alongside you, DJ, because yeah, it's just fantastic. I really am enjoying commentating on it because, you know, 30-minute races in cars like these with drivers like these, it's always going to be a treat. We're always going to get treated to some action, and yeah, always left with a smile on my face.
Exactly. And folks, that is about going to wrap things up for us here on RaceSpotTV. On behalf of all of us here, including myself, DJ Clark, Zach Sweeney, and Connery Maddock, who is pushing buttons behind the scenes, this has been Friday Night Primetime and the Stock Car Brasil series. Until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.